Okay, this is the Consew model 227R-2. It's a walking foot triple feed machine, cylinder arm. This constitutes a cylinder arm machine versus your standard flatbeds. We're going to describe what a walking foot or a triple feed machine is. First thing we're going to show is the feed dog. We're going to watch the feed dog as it comes up in the front. It actually raises above the needle plate and it travels back and drops at the very end and comes back up and travels and feeds. So this actually has teeth on it and it's going to feed the material from the bottom. This is called a drop feed. Next thing to take a look at is the needle. The needle goes down as the feed dog is coming up, and the needle is going to travel with the feed dog. As we go forward here, the needle comes down, the feed dog comes up, and they both travel together. This is called needle feed. So now we have drop feed, needle feed, so don't let the pressure feed down. Now we're going to focus and watch the center foot. Center foot's going to come down, and now it's going to marry with the feed dog, and it's going to lift the outside foot. And now the center foot is going to travel with the needle and with the feed dog all together, and there's your triple feed. So you have top and bottom, you have a bottom feed dog, you have a needle, and you have a center foot that lifts the rear foot. Alternating pressure feed, drop feed, needle feed, and there we go. Okay, all right, now that you've got your new Consew machine, we're going to show you how to thread it and set the tensions. So here you got your bobbin case. You slide the plate back and a little latch here that you're going to lift up. And when you do, you can just access your bobbin and pull your bobbin straight on out. Now there's one way the bobbin goes in. There's a groove that's located here, and this groove is slanted back this direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the bobbin in so that it goes in cross grain against this. So it's going to come back this direction, and we're going to slip it in. We're going to get it into that groove by holding the bobbin. We'll make sure that you pull it past this part here because there's a tensioner that it needs to get into right there. Let's pull this around so you can see a little bit better. So here is your tensioner. It's held back with a screw here. This is what holds it on, and then we have the ability to tighten it right here with this screw. So what we want to do is once we get it to that position, we want to give it a little tug, and we want a medium to, well, maybe sometimes a little bit heavier depending on what you're sewing for. But for this exercise, what we're going to be sewing, I'm going to have probably a medium to a little bit heavier pull. So it's just a general pull. We can tighten it here or loosen it depending on the type of material. The lighter weight materials, we're going to have a little bit lesser. Heavier, thicker materials, a little greater. We need to be able to pull the knot up a little bit different. Okay, so this is how you adjust that. So now that we have this set, we're done with this. We're ready to go to the top. That's where we're going to set your tensions at. So we're going to close this up, and we'll cut a little bit of excess off, and that'll just, once we get started, that'll pull itself all the way through. And make sure that you have your top machine threaded correctly. So we're going to start up here. This is where we start threading it out, and we're going to pull this completely out by lifting the pressure foot. We're going to release the tension, and we'll just pull it on straight out and start again. So if you notice, we've got a little body that's coming off of here, a little bit of memory that comes off of this spool, and there's a way that you can kind of work through that, and that is making a little S motion through here. So we'll go in one way, we'll go another way, and you can go either direction. It doesn't really matter. And there we go. And so we're going to make a little turn around there. We're going to do the same thing right here, in and out, up and around. And if you notice what that does, it really stretches it out here. Takes some of that memory out of that thread. So once we get around here, we'll set the pressure foot back down, get the tension. Hold your thread tight and just pull it right through the tension. Once it's in the tension, come back around here and go right in here. There's a little finger that sticks out right here. We're going to make sure we go past that finger, and when we do, if you're going to hear a clicking noise, and there it clicks, goes past, we'll go straight up from right to left through your take-up lever, straight down through these guides. And don't miss your lower thread guide. This is important to have it. And we're going to thread the needle from left to right. And we want to leave enough thread through the needle that we can hold on to it, or at least put it up under the presser foot. Okay, all right, so we're going to start sewing on the machine now. We're lifting our presser foot up. We've already got our bobbin in, and close this up. We take our material, stick it here. Now, either hold your top thread when you first start, or you can bring it back behind the foot. Make sure the foot holds it tight when you first start, and just take a couple stitches and get going there. Now you'll have a little bit of extra that you can cut off from your top thread. We'll just cut that off there. So we're going to just start with some lightweight material. This is relatively thin. And sew along. Using the reverse here. We can go. We change our stitches on this machine by loosening this little dial and moving it up and down. And this is your reverse, and this is how you change your stitch length. So the further it comes up, the longer the stitch, the further down, the shorter, and then there's your reverse. So now we're going to set our tensions. We've already preset the bottom tension, and we're going to look for this little knot. If you see the knot on the top side, then you know your top tension's too tight, so we're going to loosen that up. Now I know I'm on one layer, so I'll probably go to 2 layers before I look at it. So let's go on. Let's go to 2 layers and we'll look at the tension. Remember that presser foot's going to hold it. Start off. Let's take a look at the tension. So now we can barely see the knot here. We can't really see the knot here, so we're going to loosen this just a little bit to make that knot kind of go back down and be in between the 2 materials. So the cylinder arm is really good for anything that you're going to be doing in circles. You have something that's really pretty large. If you notice, the presser foot here is very close to the side, so we can actually get like a cushion. If we're going to be getting a cushion in here, it's very easy to get it under the foot because you've got perfect room to be able to get a cushion. There's different type of tables available. This is one of 3 options. This is a cutout option. You can get it without the cutout, or you can have the machine completely off the table and there's nothing in between. It's called a feet off the space saver stand, correct. So this is a belt slot blank with a U-cut, or we can get a belt slot blank without the cut, or space saver stand. Let's run a little more thickness here and see what we come up with the machine. This is a nice piece of leather here for handbags, doing belts, radiuses. And one of the biggest things you run across is a seam, so we're going to simulate a seam here. Just tucked under. There's a little bit of a seam. Let's go another little seam. And now we're doubling up. We're going from 2 layers to 6 layers. So there's a little seam right there. Keep running little seams. We'll put a bigger seam in here. Get to the end. Do a little back tack if you need to, and we've tied that in. Come up to the seams here. easy to walk over the seams. Let's get a little bit of thicker material here, so let's cut some of these seams out. Let's start doubling up. Now we're going to get some more layers. Let's go back over those seams again. More layers. See, we can climb right over those seams. Let's do a little more challenge. Well, let's make it a little bit more. I think you get the idea. This is a Consew model 227R-2 cylinder arm. G-size bob and drop in. You can handle thin material to pretty thick material. The thread that we're going to use on the machine can vary from size 46 to say a size 207 in the tech size. If you go beyond that, you may have to do some slight modifications in size. The needle system the machine uses is a 135x17. And a standard point, where you can go to 135x16, which is a leather point needle. The needle sizes range from size 16 to size 24. Let's talk about the features. The features of the machine is a cylinder arm. It has a 2 9/16 diameter cylinder, so it's a pretty small cylinder here. It has a drop-in bobbin, uses a size G bobbin for pre-wound. Of course, we've got the reverse here. We govern the machine around 3,000 stitches a minute. Basically, depending on your thread, your material, what you're doing, and also how you've got your pressure foot set would determine your max speed. It's already got some pre-tapped holes for attachments that can fit onto the machine. The clearance under the foot is pretty high, especially with your pressure foot. We've got an extremely large, I've got my whole finger under here, so we're at let's see, that's a 9, let's see what size that is, 5/16. I think we're probably a little bit more than that with the pressure foot, but specs say 9/16. A maximum stitch length is 5 stitches per inch. The standard bed, just like a typical sewing machine, is approximately 10 inches. We have a foot pedal that works to lift your pressure foot. We also can lift the pressure foot here by hand. And every time we lift the pressure foot, either in this location or by foot, and I can override this by pushing a foot. It overrides this and goes even higher. It lifts, it also simultaneously, it releases our top tension. So if you can look at our top tension here, every time I lift the pressure foot, it allows me to take the top thread and easily pull it, versus if I take it off, you can't pull it at all. So that's tension release. We have a safety clutch on the machine. There's the reset button is located here on the bed, so you can easily reset your safety clutch. Let's tilt it back and take a closer look at what's underneath. Underneath here we've got a belt drive that connects to your top shaft, and we have a safety clutch that's configured here with a easy reset on the top bed. Oiling of this machine is pretty straightforward. There are ports here marked on the machine here, and open the slide plate up. There's a few places underneath here, but everything's pretty straightforward where you adjust everything, where you oil everything. All this red marked. Here we have a feature. This is the climbing device feature. Now this, when we loosen this up and raise it up, it changes the relationship of the pressure feet, and it has the pressure feet to step higher or actually step very low. So the higher you bring this, the more step that you will have. We have it preset at a pretty medium, and if you notice the demonstration we did earlier, we can do some pretty thick materials in a medium or a middle position on that. That's it.